All right, before we get started, this is the part where I thank the sponsor of this video. This video is brought to you by Blinkist. And if you don't know, Blinkist is an app where they've taken over 3,000 nonfiction titles and condensed them into 15 minutes. You can read those summaries or you can listen to them like you would a YouTube video, podcast, 15-minute TED Talk. Just in a world of so much knowledge out there to ingest and not enough time to even scratch the surface, I feel like Blinkist came up with a solution. I do appreciate that. For example, I was so pleased to see that they had Cosmos by Carl Sagan. A lot of great knowledge in Cosmos, but I feel like there are a lot of people out there who don't have that knowledge because they were like, I don't have the time. And now less than 15 minutes can give you some life-changing perspective from Cosmos. I appreciate that. And the first 100 people to click the link below will get unlimited access for 1 week to try it out. And if you like it, you'll get 25% off the full membership. The trial's for 7 days. You can cancel anytime, so no pressure. And thank you once again to Blinkist for sponsoring this video. I do appreciate it. All right, now, this movie was surprising. Nobody. So Nobody is the latest in these John Wick-esque movies about normal guy who might be secret badass. And I'm actually gonna make more than a few John Wick comparisons in this video. I don't mean to make this a John Wick comparison video, but I'm gonna compare in the sense of how they did things differently, not, oh, this one did it better than the other. It's not like that. But I feel it's important to talk about how the two movies do things differently, because on the surface level, if you give someone the surface level description, it sounds very John Wick. Here's the surface level description to Nobody. Seemingly normal guy has a random encounter with some seemingly randomly normal douchebags. Those randomly normal douchebags are tied to some very high-powered Russians. So now the high-powered Russians are gonna come after normal guy, and they're gonna find out that normal guy might have been a super secret badass in a previous life, and they're gonna regret it. Right? Sounds very Wick. Kind of like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Both fighting games, but they're not the same experience. Well, first of all, Bob Odenkirk is great in this movie because Bob Odenkirk's a great actor. We always knew that. Like, you know, he got big after Breaking Bad. But in Breaking Bad, he was the comic relief. You know, he was a sleazy, fast-talking lawyer guy, and he was great in that role. But it was Better Call Saul, where it was like, oh, he really gets to flex some dramatic muscles in there. Flex those dramatic muscles without losing that which makes Saul Goodman Saul Goodman. I know people are like, oh, well, I've liked Bob Odenkirk since... Well, for me, it's Breaking Bad. Long story short, we can all agree that dude's a great actor, and he gets to show that in here. Because this movie's more of a, I don't want to say it's a slow crawl or a slow burn, but there's a lot more build-up than, let's say, John Wick has. John Wick's like, a thing happens, switch gets flipped, immediate badass, and that's amazing, and that's what we come for. The movie Nobody's a bit different. You see this guy in his life for a bit, and you can see he's just emotionally unfulfilled, he's sad, he looks depressed, which I really like. If I can just have one description, this is the only review you need. This line right here. Nobody is John Wick meets Falling Down with an emotional character that's more akin to David Dunn in Unbreakable. Right? Like that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of David Dunn in Unbreakable because he's just not fulfilled with this normal life. He's not doing that which he is called to do. But rather than protect, like Unbreakable, is kill people. But also when he's like, all right, time to get kick-assing. Kick-assing? Roll with me here. When he's on the bus, you're like, oh, it's gonna go down. And he's like, quite simply,
I'm gonna fuck you up.
Here we go, but it's not like he just flips a switch and he's like, I'm back to action, like a splice, like it never happened, like there was never any gap. Like there wasn't a decade-and-a-half long gap in between. Nah, he's a bit rusty. He has to slough off the rust. He has to relearn. It's kind of like, this is the sequel video game. You know, in the first video game, you max out your character, but they make a sequel, and they're like, all right, well, how do we nerf the character now? In the sequel, somehow they have to have a trinket, a sword, an amulet, time that just makes the character forget everything they learned in the previous game, so he's not completely OP from the start. That's like how this movie is. He has to remember how to be a badass. He takes a few hits. He's kind of like Doomsday in the sense that any huge hit he takes, he just gets better and stronger. So I like that. I like that this movie was all about build-up. There was a build of him being a badass again. They rolled out his skills as the movie went on. Also, I like the slow reveal of his past. You have questions throughout this movie. It's like, what did this guy do? How badass is he? Is he actually the badass we think he is? There are little things, little Easter eggs, little nuggets that you get where you're like, yeah, definitely this guy has a secret. And that's a big thing I need to say in this video because people just need to know, because when they think, oh, the John Wick isms, like, all right, sweet, let's just pop it on. Action, action, action. The action is there, and I love it when it happens, but it's also spread out in the movie. It's spaced out with time to breathe in between, with these character building moments, you know? It's what makes this movie stand out. This doesn't try to be a John Wick wannabe. It's its own thing. I appreciate that. And it really is the Bob Odenkirk show in this movie. I mean, Connie Nelson I thought was great as his wife, and there's an intriguing story there, and they have their past. It's only lightly alluded to, but I like that. I like the fact that this movie doesn't give you all the answers. It gives you the pieces, and you just kind of piece together the past. Also, there are a couple of supporting characters in this movie. Not big roles, but Christopher Lloyd, RZA, both great, both amazing, but if I had to peg it, I mean, it's the Bob Odenkirk show. I love the editing in this movie too. Like, there were more than a few moments where I was like, that does seem like Breaking Bad-esque, you know? Like when the action's going down and it's playing a song that you would think would play during a Breaking Bad cook segment. Maybe I'm seeing the Breaking Bad link because of Bob Odenkirk, but I mean, it felt like that. Also, a couple of moments with the editing in general, like this car crashes, like, it was a really cool edit. The editing's creative, there's talent in the directing, the acting is great, the premise is fun, and the character moments keep you hooked. And of course, let's not forget, the action's completely kick-ass. It's in the theaters right now. I believe it's coming to video on demand this weekend, so this review it's nice and timely. However you watch it, I'll say it's worth watching and worth buying on Blu-ray. John Wick, Equalizer, Nobody. It's a good trinity right there. Father, Son, Holy Spirit style. All right, so Nobody, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or are you planning on watching it this weekend? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.